G'day and welcome to EV Quest's podcast. I'm Adrian Maidment, and today it's all about the second-hand EV market in Australia and New Zealand. As I talk with Hayden Johnston from GVI in Auckland, and in Australia, Neerav Bhatt, who is an independent journalist and YouTuber with his channel Electrifying Everything.
Hi everyone.
Good to have you guys on. So we've got a bit of a New Zealand, Australia sort of a comparison, bit of a just general information on the second-hand EV market. Maybe just as a bit of a starter, sort of what's the, how is the, from you guys' point of view, how is the industry going at the moment? Hayden.
So yeah, obviously things have changed quite a bit for the New Zealand EV market, both new and used. We had a period sort of between 2021 and sort of the end of 23 where we had the EV subsidies or the clean car discount, where I guess low emission vehicles received a quite generous subsidy upon first registration. So so entering into January, February, March this year, we were sort of expecting sales to be non-existent, to be honest. We didn't expect to sell an EV for at least the first sort of 6 months of 24. Sales bounced back fairly quickly, or quicker than we expected anyway. So by March, we were selling EVs again. Certainly not in the volumes that we had seen during the subsidy period, and certainly not prior to subsidy. But they started to come back to us, and we were seeing sort of steady uptakes since then. Again, certainly not like the subsidy numbers, but there's still a really great option for New Zealanders looking for economical transport and a cleaner option for transport as well, and that's slowly building and building and building. So that's the market's softer than it was, but it's coming back to us.
Yeah, it's a bit different to the new sales, though, isn't it, of EVs, which is still pretty.
Yeah, new sales have suffered. At the moment, I really feel for those guys. They committed heavily. To EV product, and we're lucky now. We've got a great selection of new EVs available in New Zealand, and we were backed strongly by the distributors and local dealers, and things sort of fell apart for them a little bit. So there's a huge surplus of new EV product around the place, and really the only way to sell a surplus in a distressed market is by pricing. And so, it's a great time to buy an EV at the moment. I mean, EVs are cheaper now than they've ever been. They're cheaper now than they were during the period of subsidy, even taking the subsidy into account. So it's a wonderful time to purchase an EV, both new and used. Prices I don't think we'll ever see them like this again. We've already started to see an increase in the used prices, especially with our imports out of Japan. They're becoming, there's other markets purchasing, which is forcing the prices up, and we're seeing the distressed or lower price stock starting to fall off the market, and now the ceiling or the floor is starting to rise. So, and I think we'll see that with new vehicles as well. Once that distressed stock starts to dissipate and they get into a new ordering cycle, I think we'll see those new prices strengthening again as well. So
yeah, that's interesting. And in Australia, what's happening there?
Yeah, we haven't had a change of federal or national government like you have, but we have had most of our state-based EV subsidies being removed last year, and people were worried about what would happen, and actually nothing much happened with that. I think more the state of the economy in general has led to slower new car sales across the board, and electric cars have suffered with everyone else. And a lot of car companies had, again, like New Zealand, a lot of stock, and they've had to discount them, or some companies don't like to use the word discount or sale, the more premium ones. So they do, more bundles or free years of servicing, or you might suddenly see a news story saying that a rental car company's got an extra couple hundred EVs to their fleet. And there's a reason for that, because, they were sitting on lots and they were depreciating, and the car maker had to get them off the books. In terms of the used car market, it sounds pretty similar to what Hayden is saying. It's a great time to buy. Like a couple months ago, I would not have expected a very lightly used EV hatchback to be available in Australia for 25, 30K Australian. Yeah, now you can get new ones for just 30K or a bit over, the base EV hatchback models like the MG4. Yeah, so that means that dealers probably took a bit of a bath on their stock, and I saw quite a few going for mid-20s. Interesting, Hayden mentioned Japan. Our country hasn't had quite a history as New Zealand of importing cars, but there have been a steady trickle, and one particular importer stopped bringing in Leafs a few months ago because I think they realized once you got the cost of compliance and shipping and everything else, it just wasn't worth it with the cost of brand new EVs with a full warranty continuing to fall, and the cost of Leafs maybe rising a bit due to popularity. Yeah, they couldn't make any money out of it anymore.
Yeah, because that's probably one difference between the two countries. New Zealand's still very it's pretty much all Leaf, isn't it? And Hayden generally.
Yeah, I think there's got to see 30-odd thousand out of the 78,000 a Nissan Leaf. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a huge portion of our electric fleet.
That's your electric fleet passenger, including government?
That's light. That's light.
That's the like.
That's right. Yeah.
Just onto the sort of actually from more like a customer point of view, when people are coming in now, are they sort of better educated about electric vehicles now, or sort of what are the questions you're getting, say, Hayden, when people roll in, say, I'm interested in an electric vehicle?
Yeah, so I think we're at a point now with the New Zealand electric vehicle market's quite mature. We've been selling EVs since 2013, so sort of 11 odd years now. People have been able to buy a non-home built EV off the shelf here, and that's. I think we're at a sort of saturation point now where everyone knows somebody with an electric vehicle. There's very few people that walk in here and they've never driven one or never sat in one or don't know anything about them. And there's a lot of good information out there. Obviously, channels like this, and they're very accessible. Whereas once upon a time, we used to have to take EVs to the people. That was the only way that people got to experience them. For years and years, we did trade shows and A&P shows and whatever opportunity we could to put the vehicles in front of people, and that was how they experienced them. Where now it's a lot easier to go onto a yard or subscription services or drive Auntie Sally's or whatever it might be. So the people are they're more educated. They've narrowed down to a particular vehicle type in most cases, and they're really coming in to look at our vehicles. They've chosen us as a dealer to purchase an EV from, and it's what do you have? This is what I think, and a lot of the time it's just sort of confirming the research that they've done. And so we sit down with them and just sort of, I guess, qualify their vehicle use and make sure the vehicle matches their intended use, and there's not going to be an issue there. And yeah, it's a very different experience from what it used to be. Yeah.
Are people coming in for like in the new cars, sort of the hybrids have been very popular now? Is people looking at hybrids or straight EVs? And
yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got a good selection of everything. So we sell BEV, PEV, hybrid and traditional ICE vehicles. So we get a bit of conversion from hybrid to EV, and we also get a little bit of conversion from people coming in looking for traditional ICE to EV. So that's one of the good things about having a bit of everything. Hybrid's a great option, because the reality is there's not an EV for everybody. There are instances where for particular vehicle use or vehicle type or or price often as well doesn't match the need, and so a step into a hybrid is still better than a traditional ICE vehicle, I guess, diesel or petrol. So we always try and steer people towards the cleaner, greener option that's going to save them money. So whatever that might be.
Yeah, and I guess in Australia, the sort of the before, like in the new cars, New Zealand was sort of ahead, and then Australia's caught up, isn't it? So I guess the Australian people the education's quite high now as well. Would that be right?
No. You started selling EVs in your country, like Hayden said, in mass volume many, many years before us. It took to the last federal election before numbers really took off here, as well as the new Chinese brands coming in. And tax incentives. I think a lot of more wealthy buyers at the moment in buying EVs in Australia are not particularly buying them because they want a cleaner car, but because they want big tax incentives for getting a novated lease. And one of the reasons our federal government did that strategy was as well as subsidizing. The federal government subsidized a fair few fleets and rental companies to get a lot of EVs, is they know that there'll be quick turnover within 1, 2, maybe 3 years tops. A lot of those cars will go into the secondhand market and really boost the numbers of available there, because let's face it, a lot of people don't have the money to buy a new electric car for 50, 60, 70 grand or more. Even for a lot of people, the cheapest electric cars available in Australia now at 30 or mid 30s is too expensive. So yeah, increasing the secondhand market will be great. Looking at the numbers, if you had a look at a site like Car Sales, which is one of the biggest secondhand markets in Australia for vehicles, most of the secondhand cars available, EVs, would be Teslas still, just because people have had them longer. And I'm not sure to what extent. Could be that also because they have shorter warranties. I don't know about New Zealand, but in Australia, the core warranty for a Tesla is 4 years. You get longer for battery, etc. But the car itself is just 4. Unlike, say, a Kia, which is 7, MG, which is 10, etc. So you can keep it a lot longer under full warranty. Yeah, and the fact that all these cheaper brands have come out more recently from China means already the numbers of other brands available secondhand are increasing, and in the next year or 2 or 3, it'll be much more diverse. The only thing viewers should bear in mind when looking at sales of secondhand EVs, like stats, I don't know about New Zealand, but in Australia, I've noticed they count dealer demo sales as secondhand. So it might have 50Ks on it, might have 500Ks on it, but it still counts as secondhand. So every now and then you'll see a surge of a particular model, but that's not necessarily because that particular model is suddenly super popular. It's because the dealers are clearing their lots for a model refresh or a new version to come in.
Not sure how that works in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think it's a similar sort of system where there's a certain kilometre threshold. So yeah, but it's still come under. Yeah, once the vehicle's registered, it's registered. So you get to count registration once, and then after that, it becomes I guess it becomes a used sale. So that probably is very similar, I'd imagine.
Yeah. What is the warranty on a secondhand EV in New Zealand? What do if I bowl in GVI, say I want that one?
Yeah.
What happens then?
GVI is probably a little bit different to some of the dealerships. For starters, my guys all wear a uniform and they wear shoes. Yes. Some of you have quite the same. No, so probably one of our point of difference is every EV we sell has a 12-month battery warranty, and that's more so just around to give people confidence that for those first 12 months they're not going to have any trouble, and it's less around a battery failure because we don't expect those and we don't see them, but it's in the past there has been the best term for it probably is battery doping, especially in the Nissan Leafs. So unfortunately, some of the more unscrupulous dealers very quickly worked out as they do how to dope the battery and make it present better than it actually is.
Oh.
And so, yeah, and much like guys, and New Zealand's certainly not unique to this, but odometer tampering has been a big thing, and not just with imports, but even local cars through every single market, and it's something that still goes on overseas. And so they just worked out how to basically tamper with the odometers of Nissan Leafs. So yeah, we offered the warranty to sort of just to give comfort that we weren't doing that, because it was something that presented itself quite soon, within a month of driving, several cycles of the battery, and very quickly it would present where it genuinely was rather than what it was showing. And so that was our main reason for
you can't always trust the Leaf battery.
The old Leaf Spy. The Leaf Spy is good, but again, I mean, it is subject to the doping, and even the rudimentary bar system, Nissan's measure of battery health, that was even easier to game. So we had guys resetting the battery management system, returning to full 12 bars, and then you drive it for a month or 6 weeks, and next minute it dropped to 7 bars. So I'd like to think that we're through that now. I certainly haven't heard any instances of that for quite a while, but like I say, it's not something we were involved with, so sort of outside of our sphere. But So yeah, so we have an out of the box warranty coverage for all of our BEVs, and actually we extend that to our hybrids and our BEVs as well. So yeah, it just gives people that confidence, and also we offer extended warranties through our aftermarket warranty provider, AutoSure. So we help them develop their battery product, and it's very, very robust. And we've had good customer feedback. For the very few people that have actually had to use it. But it's nice to have that comfort that something's there. Because unlike new vehicles, once they're taken out of market, you do lose that factory battery warranty. So it's up to us as dealers to provide a solution there.
And what was sort of the starting price? If I had a couple of key prices, what am I getting? If I was to say, I just want to get something small, I want to get into the whole EV thing.
Yeah.
What's my starting point in sort of New Zealand and Australia? What do I need?
Before we do that, I just wanted to point out warranties in Australia. I haven't heard of any Australian dealers offering as generous a battery warranty. I think perhaps they're just relying on the manufacturer ones, because most of our fleet, secondhand fleet, sold in Australia. So the original car maker would still back it for the remaining number of however many years are left. But it is a good point for Australian viewers who are considering buying a secondhand EV. Obviously, if it's a private sale, ask for a servicing logbook, make sure the servicing has been done. Check the obvious stuff, because some people think EVs don't need any servicing at all. Check the tire treads are good and you're not buying a car with bald tires. Does it look clean, etc., and well taken care of is always a good sign. With a private sale, as long as you have a good documentation and servicing record, you probably also have free roadside assist with some brands still. And software updates are also key. For some brands, most brands don't have over-the-air software updates still, unfortunately. So it's good to check that if you can. And depending on where you're buying, Australian dealers will offer some kind of short warranty. And if you're buying from an auction house, like an ex-government sale or an ex-rental car fleet sale, just be aware and read all the paperwork really carefully, because my understanding is there's no particular warranty on that in terms of if it's got a problem a week later after you bought it, tough luck.
Mm-hmm.
Buyer beware. Caveat emptor when you're buying from a big auction house. They expect the buyer to deal with any issues and fix it mechanically themselves.
Yeah, I think Australia versus New Zealand, their warranty, the expectations from the manufacturers as far as warranty coverage is huge. And I've heard stories of people purchasing vehicles that are sort of 10 and 11 years old, and there'll be a fault, a significant fault, not a minor fault, but there is that can still fall back on the selling dealer, because there's an expectation of the vehicle being merchantable quality for this huge period of its life, which is quite different to down here. They've got they call it an anti-lemon law or something like that. So selling cars in Australia is quite a different prospect to selling cars.
Comparing New Zealand and Australia, so maybe a couple of key price points. Maybe just like first, I just want to get into the market a little bit, something maybe small, the runaround town deal, and then maybe like a sort of a family car. If I run around to get myself started.
Sure. Maybe you've got a teenager and you want to teach them how to use an EV, but you don't want them to have a huge repair bill if they, scratch it in the supermarket or something while parking. That's a good point. And I should bring up before my Leaf owning friends get annoyed at me for saying don't buy a new Leaf earlier. I'm got nothing against secondhand Leafs. I think they're an excellent buy, especially for someone who's very tight on the budget and or is teaching a young person, because you'll probably pay less on insurance as well, or you don't need to worry so much about insuring it for a big value. You can get them for not much at all here now. I don't know about New Zealand, but 5, 10, 15K, depending on the quality of the battery on Leaf Spy, which hopefully is accurate. Yeah. But your expectations have to be reasonable though, because I think it's not worth getting a Leaf unless you can charge at home, because it's obviously cheaper to charge at home, but also because CHAdeMO ports are not very common, and you really don't want to be charging really often in public because it wastes your time a lot. So yeah, if you can charge at home and your budget is super tight, have a look at a Nissan Leaf, but try and get one with a good mechanical record, like Hayden was saying, and a decent battery level. 80 to 100 kilometers range would be enough for people just scooting around to the local shops or picking up kids at school kind of thing. What do you think, Hayden?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It was interesting. We started the week with 3 little trade-in Nissan Leafs on our front row, and as of today we've got none. And so there was so I guess what New Zealand refers to colloquially as a Gen 2 Leaf, but a 24 kilowatt hour AZDO Leaf, which I think had a 56% state of health. It's a sort of 60, 70k range car, and that was 5 at 50. And that disappeared. We had a 30 kilowatt hour Gen 2 Leaf, 62% state of health, so 125, 130 odd K range. And that was just under $9,000. Poof, that's gone. And then another really quite nice 24 kilowatt hour with good state of health, and that was the same sort of thing, just under $9,000, and that's gone. So yeah, there's some really good value to be had in that sub $10,000 mark for a little Leaf that will deliver around say 120 kilometers of range per charge. And that's, we refer to them, they're almost like dirt bikes. They're just sort of the thing, you jump in, you don't worry about it, you just drive it, and it's mindless, it's easy, and it costs you nothing. They're fantastic. They're the best value for money transport available, Then, we're quite fortunate. Australia's probably sort of seen a little bit of this too with the import Leafs, the 40 kilowatt hour Leafs. They were a vehicle that we were selling for close to $30,000 pre-subsidy. And now that same vehicle is under $20,000, and that's a late model 2017, 2018 vehicle that would deliver 250 kilometers of range on a charge, and you can pick them up for 18 odd grand, and that's right now, that's probably the best value for money electric vehicle on the planet in terms of range for dollars. So so they're good buying. But in saying that, they're the vehicle that we are seeing the price shift in quite dramatically. So the new stuff that we've got arriving from Japan owes us more, and so it'll just keep pushing those new prices up. So but they're fantastic. They're fantastic buying. For under $20,000.
What about something sort of, we'll just call classic sort of family sedanish sort of SUV for people, family, maybe a little bit more money? Any sort of recommendations?
What's Tesla 3 selling for in Australia now? Have they come back a bit?
Hard to tell because the listed price are not necessarily what they actually go for. I would say, so like we were saying before, if your budget is really tight and you're willing to only have a small range for city driving, then a Leaf. I would say the next step up, thanks to the small Chinese EV hatchbacks that have come into the market, would be a lightly used MG4 base model, Excite 51, GWM Aura, or a BYD Dolphin. And I think you could easily get one of those secondhand for 25, roughly, give or take, depending on which city you are in and how much stock is available. There's a boatload of, like I said, white Tesla Model 3s.
Early Tesla 3, especially with some Ks, I mean mid-Ks, 60, 70 Ks, you can pick up a 19, standard range plus for under 30 grand. That's a lot of car for the money. You've got BYD Atto 3, that's a fantastic car and a good sort of, I guess SUV format, which is popular here in Australia for early 30s. Hyundai Kona, especially the 64 kilowatt hour, they're a great product. I'm not sure about Australia. I think it was a global battery recall on those. So a lot of them, if not probably all of them, had brand new batteries fitted. So you had cars that were 2 and 3 years old had a brand new battery fitted. So keep a lookout for those. They're more of a crossover hatch than an SUV, but big range. That's a genuine 450k range.
And very efficient.
Very, yes. Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, and we're starting to see, I guess, some of those more luxury, models as well, coming down to meet the price point. So, yeah, I think New Zealanders and Australians are going to be spoilt for choice over the next couple of years, as as some of this product that's been released in the last couple of years comes down into that used market, especially off vehicles coming off fleet. We're buying a lot of local stuff that's ex-fleet and helping a lot of companies with fleet disposal, and there's some really, really good deals to be had on the likes of Model Y, Polestar 2. So yeah, just do your homework and keep a lookout. And especially with that product in New Zealand and I guess in Australia as a non-import product, you've got the factory battery warranty, which will, in most cases may still have 3, 4, 5 years left, which is a nice thing to have. And then you can couple that with an extended mechanical and electrical warranty, and you've got the confidence of a good solid product there. So.
Is it going to be less sort of for New Zealand, less cars coming in from, say, Japan, with now more New Zealand EVs becoming secondhand?
I think we might see a focus on that, but we're also seeing an influx of models in Japan as well. Like once upon a time, we used to import Nissan Leaf and Nissan Leaf and Nissan Leaf on the odd, I'm even B meet. So yeah, that used to be out. That used to be it, but now we're importing a huge amount of Tesla product, a lot of Euro EV, Mercedes, Peugeot. The Peugeot product here is fantastically priced as well. It's a really cool product, drives well, looks nice, fantastic fit and finish, range of materials. Like we sell a lot of Peugeot product here.
Is there a hidden gem, like a little unknown one, you'd recommend?
Yeah, Peugeot E208 for me is a really cool little car. It looks good, well spec'd. They're fun to drive. They've got a lot of go and they handle well. And for a sort of a sub $30,000 offering that's up to 4 years old, more than likely 2 or 3 years old, that's a hell of a lot of car for the money. That's a cool car for the money. So yeah, that for us as a volume product out of Japan is quite
yeah. And maybe just sort of looking into the future, can you sort of see where the market's going in, say, the next 2 to 5 years, or is it too hard?
For secondhand, that's just easy because there's just going to be more volume and more diversity and better prices across the board. So brilliant for secondhand buyers. For new electric cars in Australia, unfortunately, I think a lot of brands all think that they're premium brands now and that they can charge 50, 60, 70, 80K or above. And not many want to play in the people's car market of, more affordable ranges. They don't want to be seen as a value brand.
definitely sort of, and not to sort of bring politics into it, but there were pros and cons to the period of subsidy. Yes, it got a lot of vehicles on the road very quickly, but I think it left a long-term bad taste in the mouth of a lot of New Zealanders because they saw that they were paying for people to purchase EVs, and it created a large amount of anti-EV sentiment down here. And I think we're still living with that today. Whereas if we'd let things just organically grow as they were, like we were seeing fantastic growth pre-subsidy. So, and then there was interference, and it changed the whole landscape. And so you had a lot of people that were forced to pick a side. I'm either going to have an EV or not. Yeah, there wasn't that I would like to have an EV one day when there's one for me at the right price, yada yada yada. There was a you must or you mustn't. You're either you'll be benefited if you buy one, you'll be penalized if you don't. And so people went, well, screw you. I'm not going to get one because I need a ute. There's no other.
I'm going to go buy a Ford Ranger.
Exactly. And so you created, there was, a huge amount of division in general during that period. But yeah, it filtered all the way down to your vehicle choices, which was terrible. And we saw a lot at the front line, obviously selling both types of vehicles. We were just trying to say, hey guys, look, just don't worry about it. If you want one, buy one. If you don't. And but it got politicized and people were forced to choose a side, which was unfortunate. It shouldn't have come to that, So yeah, it'll take a while for that to fade, and for people to feel comfortable, I think, about making that EV choice rather than feeling begrudged to make the EV choice. Because we see that that's still out there. So.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll just finish off on maybe for the potential consumer, maybe just a quick point about what's the key reason to get an EV if you're mulling it over at the moment.
I think Hayden brings up a really good point. Taking any politics out of it or environmental sort of benefits, you save a lot of money, especially if you've got solar at home. I mean, New Zealand's lucky because you've already got 100% renewable energy pretty much already in your grid, which we don't in Australia. But if you have solar on your rooftop, and you can charge at home, then you're laughing. Your cost of running your new EV is going to be a tiny fraction of your previous petrol and diesel bills. So I think that's what people should use as the argument to try and convince people. Don't worry about trying to convince them about climate change, or depending on what political party they vote for, they may or may not believe you. Yeah, don't worry about that. Just talk about cost of living and how much fuel costs at the pump, and then say, oh, and by the way, I spent $4 last week to recharge my EV from my roof. And how awesome is that? And I just plugged in when I got home and I had dinner and I didn't need to go and visit a petrol station and stand around once a week. Yeah, that's, I think, the convenience and the saving money, especially if you can go and buy from a decent secondhand dealer like Hayden or an Australian equivalent. You'll also save money upfront, not buying the new car with the shiny new car smell, but also comes with a shiny new car price.
That's good sale. Anything to add on that, Hayden?
No, it's spot on. It's, I think through the years we've tried to push, or not just us, but yeah, in general, there's been the green agenda to push. And yes, I think that's a byproduct of it. But yeah, focus on the fact, it's one thing that no matter what sort of who you follow and what you believe, everyone wants to save money. And I think that is a primary driver, is it, an EV will save you money. There is no doubt about it. And so, yeah, come take advantage of that, especially as a second car, as a run around car, as the car that you commute in and, go to work and take the kids. I mean, they're perfect for that, unemotional, convenient, cheap transport. And then have another car for the long trips or the weekend trips to go away, whatever it might be, tow the boat. And that's what we see a huge amount of. It's the second car. And it quite often becomes the primary car as well. You see these people just roll around them in them everywhere because they're so easy. They're neat to drive and they cost nothing. And, the ute or the SUV sort of sits in the garage and only gets pulled out, as necessary.
Exactly.
Oh, we'll leave it there. It's a good point. Just think about the money is the key point. Okay, Neerav and Hayden, thanks so much for your time. It was great.